Hey y'all, welcome to Pink Shade. It's Thursday, and that means it's Shades of Bravo. I have got the one and only Dame Brian J. Moylan here with me to discuss part one of the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills reunion. Hey, Brian.
Hey Mary, how's it going?
All right, Brian, remember you have to call me Mary Payne, not Mary, because people get mad.
Sorry, Mary Payne. I will
Hmm
call you Mary Payne. And oh my God, remember 227? Mary, it's Sandra. Anyway.
227. I don't know if you're old enough to remember 227.
Oh, I am old enough to remember 227. It's still my lucky number, thanks to Jack A.
That is so funny. Do you remember Jack Hayes' iconic appearance on Watch What Happens Live?
Yes, of course. Was it her and Regina Hall?
I can't remember who she was
Yeah,
with because I
because
just
Regina Hall
remember
was on
her,
227.
and they were so drunk.
So drunk. I
It
mean,
was great.
that's what you do when you go to Watch What Happens Live.
Um, all right, Brian, let me ask you really quickly while we're discussing our Lord and Savior Andy Cohen. Um,
Yes.
what are your thoughts on the latest allegations from Leah McSweeney?
Well, about Andy doing cocaine, first of all,
Yeah,
Kathy Griffin told us about this 7 years ago or so,
yeah, uh-huh.
when she and Andy Cohen got in a fight. So I don't think it's news to me. Also, I mean, I don't think it's news to anyone who knows Andy. That's what's funny about Andy is like he's the only person I know where he went on television on CNN, got too drunk, misbehaved, and all it did was make his brand stronger because
Right.
it's like that's what people expect from Andy. So yeah, should bosses be doing cocaine with their coworkers? I mean, I don't know, but I've definitely been around some bosses when they were doing cocaine. So, yeah, I feel like between that and the Brandy Glanville, like he was sexually harassing me, sending texts, it feels like a big reach. And
Mhm.
I can see how outside of the Bravo verse, people might be like, oh my God, this is really bad. But for those of us who live inside of it, I think we all know that it's really not that big of a bombshell.
Yeah, I think that Andy has been pretty open, that
Yeah.
he's, a partier and all that. I don't think he's ever said he's not.
Yep.
Especially if you listen to your radio show or read his books or so I don't think it's a surprise, but I don't think that he is offering, Karen Huger a bump of coke before she goes and watch What Happens Live. You know what I mean?
No,
No,
no.
I
But
think
I bet that there are plenty of housewives who, and I've heard from housewives who have hung out with other housewives who were like, there was so much cocaine, you know.
yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, do I think all of them are on it? No. Do I think some of them are on it? Yes. Do I think more people do cocaine than we think do? Absolutely. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's not the, you know, biggest
Yeah.
problem, I don't think. But,
Well,
you know.
Luann made a statement which was interesting, because she's a person that dabbles in sobriety here and there, and she said,
I thought you were going to say devils and cocaine here or there, which I think might be more accurate, but okay.
we don't know that. We don't know that.
No, we don't know that. Oh, I don't know
Listen,
that, but I highly suspect that.
allegedly. I
Allegedly.
she said, "Look, it's up to Leah to pick up a drink or not. It's up to,
Yeah.
it's not." And that's a person in recovery the way they speak. I live with the person in recovery, so I
Yeah.
know it's up to you if you take that drink or not. It's up to you if you're going to do the bump of coke with the boss. So I think it's the whole thing is sort of a nothing burger, in my opinion. And
Agreed.
but I don't want to be like an Andy Cohen apologist where I'm like, no, he would never, because I think he's been pretty open and honest about it. But I don't think he's giving preferential treatment to the housewives that will party with him versus because I don't think he's
No.
always loved Ramona and she's the worst. And
Yeah.
she's not
Well,
doing coke with him.
yes.
My God, who would want to do coke with Ramona?
Well, and think about it. In every workplace, your boss has people who he likes more than others,
You're
and
right.
that's
Yeah.
also true on Bravo. And so, yes, Andy Cohen's going to be have favorites. Is it going to be the people who does cocaine with him? I mean, I don't know. Might you want to do cocaine to be one of Andy Cohen's favorites? Maybe you will. But I mean, yeah, I don't know how much being Andy Cohen's favorite will really get you though. Maybe invited to watch What Happens Live a few more times, but Andy's not, you still got to face your coworkers and your co-stars, and
Yeah.
they can come for you twice as hard because you're Andy's favorite. So
Yeah.
eh, yeah,
Yeah,
which I
he's the
think
producer.
we
He doesn't work for Bravo. He's just the producer. So, yeah, it's the whole thing
exactly.
is interesting. It's like between, we got Bethany, we got Leah, who else do we have? Um,
Um uh Brady Glanville seems to
we
have
got Brandy
joined
Glanville.
the
Uh-huh.
Ebony K. Williams was in that Vanity Fair article, so she seems like
Yes.
part of that tribe, maybe.
Yes.
Um,
It'll
yeah,
be
Caroline
interesting.
Manzo, maybe.
True. With Caroline and Brandy being on opposite ends.
Yeah.
But I will say that if anybody listens to the Bravo docket, they did a wonderful breakdown of Caroline Manzo's lawsuit and kind of like goes through every single day of the girls' trip, in addition to like what she went with Brandy. And all of it tracks. None of it, I don't think anybody heard it and was like, what? We're all like, oh, that tracks. That's what Brandy does. And I'm sure, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
all track.
Well, and I do agree with Caroline in that, Brandy has always been crazy and she's rewarded for that. And so,
Hmm.
did the crazy go too far with Brandy? Probably it has a number. She slapped Lisa Vanderpump,
Yeah.
like that's the thing about Brandy is she doesn't know when to stop. And so should Bravo be held accountable for bringing her back, again and again, knowing what she might do? Maybe.
Yeah. Or the
But
first time Caroline
also,
seems uncomfortable, separate them, you know?
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I also think that since Caroline's been on the show, it's a very different game. And so maybe Caroline wasn't as prepared for, kind of the new rules of housewifery like she was, back in the day.
Good point.
I
That's a
don't know.
great point. It has been a
Yeah.
long time since she's been a regular yeah, that's a good point. Well, all right, that's enough with our Bravo news.
That's enough running down Bravo.
Um, let's talk about the, Beverly Hills reunion. I also watched the Miami reunion. I'm not fully caught up on every episode of Miami, so I was kind of
Mhm.
looking to the reunion to help me out, and all I got was, just amazing outfits and red lipstick. I just couldn't get over the
They
lipstick, the
look so good.
outfits. I
I
mean,
mean,
wow.
this is the best dressed ensemble I think we've ever seen. Like we've seen lots of great outfits, but everybody looks perfect. They all got the assignment. It feels like there was a group chat
Yes.
discussion before we saw them, which I really liked.
Yes. Yeah, and I know that the rumor is that, at some point, Marcus pops off and gets in a fight, like, backstage with the women, because you could see they're if we didn't know that, we would wonder, why do they keep flashing to him in the green room? Like, who cares?
Right.
But
Yeah.
now we
Well, and
know
also
because
it's
he's
like
getting mad.
if none of the other husbands are there, like why is Marcus there? Like you couldn't leave your man at home for your work
Yeah.
trip, Larsa? Was it bring your
Yeah.
boyfriend to work day? I mean, I don't
Yeah.
know.
Doesn't he have something going on in his life? Like, is he
Yeah,
busy
I
or
don't know.
didn't I don't know.
That said,
Interesting.
I have a
Well,
huge crush on Marcus. Oh my gosh, I want to make out with him so badly.
he is cute to look at, I will tell you that much, but I don't know if I
Yeah.
like his attitude towards these women. He's I don't like when a house husband or boyfriend gets too involved.
Agree. And it's
Yeah.
one thing, like if it's New Jersey where all the husbands are around, or it's a reunion and the other husbands are there on the stage too, then it's like, yes, obviously it's like a group situation. But when it's like one dude and the women, that makes me very uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's just like, All right, nobody asked your opinion, but it
Yeah.
is interesting. When you know things ahead of time, like we did with Scandival or whatnot, when you know things like the Kyle, when you know things
Yeah.
ahead of time, and then you can see how they're sort of prepping you for it, right? They prepping you by showing him in the green room making comments. Like normally, they wouldn't flash to PK being like, "Can you believe Dorit's outfit?" Like they just wouldn't. So I'm sorry.
Right. Yeah.
Apologies for the British accent to the person that lives in London. That was very
Oh
disrespectful.
my
I'm
god.
sorry.
Mine is terrible. I like can't even try. And then my English friends make me try and then like laugh at me about how terrible my English accents are. So
Do they do your
don't worry.
American accent to you?
Yeah, and they're pretty good because they watch so much more like well, because there's basically one American accent and there's a lot of English accents. And they watch
Yes.
so much American television that they're most English people can do a decent American accent. Mine, however, no ma'am. Sorry.
It is so funny that whenever you hear an English person doing an American accent, it's so shocking. It's like I
Yeah.
forgot sometimes Kate Winslet's actually British. Yeah.
I know. I hate it's worse with Australians. Like I don't like when what's her name? Uh
Margot
Rose
Robbie,
Byrne speaks
Rose
Australian.
Byrne
Yeah,
speaks
because it's like
Australian.
I know it's like I know you're Australian, but can you talk American, please? I'm used to that. Thank you.
Yes, you're right, and Australian, that's a really hard accent to do.
Oh my god,
Um,
I loved when on the reunion, Dorit was like, "There's nothing fake on me," and Andy kind of looked at her like, "Really?" And I wanted to be like, "Are we going to talk about her accent too? Because that's fake as well as the
yes,
nose job that she denies."
yes, yes. It's just contour. Hey, it's me again, here to tell you about Quint. That is my favorite place to shop online. I just went before I came to talk to you guys about what are the latest things I ordered. Okay, here's the latest thing I ordered that I love. They are 100% washable silk skinny scrunchies. Try to say that 3 times fast. But they're these silk scrunchies that you can, wear all the time, but when you sleep in them, they don't bend or damage your hair. They're wonderful. I also bought my husband for his birthday these flow knit performance pants, which he loves, and he asked me to buy him 2 more pair, which I did. They came today. Then they were so soft that I went and bought myself some flow knit mid-rise joggers. I got blue, I got gray, and I got black, and I'm wearing them right now. They are so comfy and so cute. I also got my husband then a workout shirt. You guys, I'm buying from them every week now, and I think that I'm going to get a restraining order put against me from Quince because I'm obsessed. Obsessed. Then they just did a drop this week with new bathing suits. And I'm like, uh-oh, now I need a bathing suit. So guys, don't forget they also have the cashmere. They have the travel stuff. They have great home stuff. They even have cute baby stuff. And then I noticed this week, maternity stuff. You guys, what can't Quince do? Give yourself the luxury you deserve with Quince. Go to quince.com/pinkshade for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's right. If you don't like it and it's day 300, just return it. It's so easy. I've had to return one thing and the website made it so easy. So you're going to go to quince.com/pinkshade, QUINCE.com/pinkshade to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/pinkshade. And please let me know what you got. So we start off this reunion, and I think to me, what was striking right away is the couches seem a little small, and perhaps it's
Yeah.
because we're used to the bigger ones because of COVID. But
Yeah.
Dorit and Erica and Kyle, with Erica in the middle, and Dorit and Kyle right away start talking, and Erica with those giant winged shoulder pads sitting in the
Yeah.
middle. It was just like pure comedy because she's just sitting there looking straight forward like a robot, you know?
Yeah.
Ah, I love it. We're gonna get it
Yeah.
for 3 episodes. I love it.
And it's wild to me that we went from the show being like the Fox Force 5 around Kyle to now Kyle being on an island, and she really only has Erica, and the two of them were really never super close, at least that we saw, on the show, because Kyle always had to Erica, excuse me, always had Lisa Rinna. So yeah,
Mhm.
it's the dynamics are really weird.
It is, and I think I guess I don't quite understand why everyone is so, like, anti Kyle because I think her point that she's gonna make next week to Sutton is instead of just, like, trying to dig in and figure out what's going on, how about, like, "Hey, it seems like you're suffering. Can I help you?" So
Yeah.
I guess I kinda don't really get what the whole, like, "Let's come for Kyle," what that's really about regarding her marriage, because it's not like a J-Lo, like, this is, like, her 4th marriage in 4 years, and they're like, who cares? I mean, she's been
Yeah.
married for a long time and has lots of kids, and it's pretty serious if she because God knows what Mauricio's done in the past. So she's gotten to the
Yeah.
point where she is separating from him. She's obviously in a lot of probably pain. So you should be concerned about your friend.
Well, and I totally agree with that, but I do think that the crazy thing is nobody was like, "Are you sleeping with that woman or not?" And
Right,
that's
right.
like, you know what I mean? It's like that's what's in the press, and that's what people want to know. And I mean, for Kyle to have been on a show where she dragged Brandy Glanville out of retirement to air Denise Richards, maybe or maybe not having a three-way with her, and then not wanting to talk about, whether or not she's sleeping with this woman, whether or not her husband's having affairs. I do see it as a bit of a double standard. And I think like Kyle always sold her relationship as a fairy tale. And,
Mhm.
it's clearly not, there's clearly a lot happening. So either she was lying to us then or she's lying to us now.
Mm.
And I don't like her having lied to us in either of those situations, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that does make sense. I see what you're saying. I guess in my mind, it's like, okay, well, if her marriage is falling apart, it's kind of her business. And she is on a show. So she is going to get asked about it. But I guess it's just sort of like, you don't have to like beat her down about it. My God, I don't
No,
know.
I agree. And I think what we missed with not having Lisa Rinna here is Lisa Rinna would have been like, "Are you fucking that girl?" And everybody else was like, "What's going on in your marriage?" And they're all like pussyfooting around it. And like that's what drove me crazy about Sutton was I could tell Sutton wanted to be like, "Are you two scissoring?" But instead she was like, "Is something happening?" And it's like, Sutton, if you're gonna have the balls to stand up and ask the question, then stand up and ask the question. Don't like wimp out at the
Yeah.
last minute.
And I think we'll get it in part 3, right? Where they always
Yeah.
they always
Oh,
save the
totally.
best stuff for the last 15 minutes of part 3. So, okay, it's fine. We'll watch it. Okay, yeah, I mean, we're gonna watch it
Yeah.
anyway. I mean, even bad Bravo is better than a lot of TV. So, um,
Absolutely.
we see, Andy talks to Garcelle about her success and, talks about the scenes with her kids, and so it's like then we're done with that, and then we get this whole thing with Garcelle and Dorit, right? And, um, Andy says, "You said you don't believe she's a racist, just an unconscious Karen." Now, all of a sudden, Anna Marie enters the chat. I was like, first of all, I forgot she was there.
Yeah,
And
yeah, exactly.
I'm not an Anna Marie hater. I'm really not. I really don't really have an opinion either way on her. But literally, I forgot she was there, and I surely didn't realize she was on the couch as a full-time housewife. I really didn't.
Yes, agree.
I really didn't. So
And
she chimes in.
yeah, it was interesting though when she kind of said like, "Oh, when uh God, why can't I think of her name?" When Sutton accused Anne Marie of yelling when she wasn't really, and Dorit suffer. I thought
Yes.
that was a valid point, but I didn't like and we're seeing this on Potomac too, where we have the two Nigerians like at each other's throats, and here we have the two black members of the cast, and I just wish that they could find more common ground, and Anna Marie being like, "Oh, I'm a black woman too. I'm a black woman too. What I say matters." Like seemed like kind of a low blow towards Garcelle, because I think that Garcelle's frustration with Dorit isn't just these comments that were made this year. I think it's a culmination of Dorit
Yes.
engaging in this pattern of behavior over a number of years, which Anna Marie hasn't witnessed because she hasn't been there. And
Right.
so, I wish that they both could have had each other's backs a little bit more, not just at the reunion, but in the kind of season as a whole.
Yeah, and there's something about Anne Marie that they all just really can't stand, and there might be more to it other than what we've seen,
I mean, she
but
seems annoying, to be perfectly honest.
I mean, in the first 5 minutes of this reunion where she jumps in on this, Dorit being an unconscious Karen, and we're like, "Wait, first of all, we forgot you were here. And second of all, this conversation doesn't involve you. I think they're all looking at her like, you're going to get your turn. But right now we're talking. And she's like, no, if I don't interject myself, I'm never going to get a second season. Like I got to really bring it at the reunion is what she's
Yes.
been told the way I fear, the way I see it. So
Yes.
it is interesting about Garcelle said Dorit lives in the bubble. And then we see her post that stupid post happily in my bubble. And then in hindsight, it was a mistake. And they're all like, but you doubled down and posted it twice. She's like, no,
Yeah.
no, no. The second one says, I'm in my love bubble. And they're like, that's doubling down. Is it? I mean, she was like, what? And Andy
And
goes, it didn't
also,
land. It didn't land. She's like, huh. She doesn't get it.
well, and this is what drives me crazy about Dorit. And it comes, and so she says to Garcelle, like, oh, I didn't mean it that way. And I'm sorry if I hurt you. And if I hurt you, tell me, and I'll do something about it. And so it's like, okay. So then we get to the next segment where she's talking to Crystal, and Crystal's like, you called me a child bride. Here's why it's wrong. Here's why it's hurtful because of my race and whatever. And Dorit doesn't say, oh my God, you're right. I'm sorry. Like she said she would. She goes, I didn't mean it that way. And Garcelle says, here she goes again, because this is exactly what they're talking about. It's like, and I agree, Dorit is in a bubble. Dorit is an unconscious Karen. And if everyone keeps saying this to you, Dorit, if 2 out of 3 of the women of color on the show are telling you maybe you need to reconsider these things, then maybe you should reconsider these things. And that's what drives me crazy is she's saying, like, if you just tell me, I'll listen. But then when they tell her, she doesn't listen. She gets all defensive. And
Yes.
yeah.
Yes. That's exactly right. And Andy says, sometimes it's better just to zip it and listen, And
Yep.
she's like, you're right, Andy. And then she just keeps on, she just instead of saying, I thought I was being funny and now I realize I wasn't, and I'm so sorry. That hurt you and I
Yes.
apologize. She can't do it. And so Andy asked Kyle, so this is where we're kind of dipping into the Morgan thing. He says, in season 10, there were rumors, Kyle, that you and Teddy were lovers, but now all of a sudden you're like joking around with scissoring with Dorit, and like what changed? And she goes, I grew up very like rigid, and my mom had these opinions, and I grew up very by the book. And she says, this last year I've changed, and I don't know what the future holds. And Sutton goes, none of us would be judgmental or care, okay? And then that's it. Then they drop it.
Right.
Because they're going to come back in part 3. I was like,
yeah.
judgmental or care about what?
Do you think Kyle and Morgan are sleeping together?
I, this entire time, have been on, they are just friends. They are sober buddies. She's producing this documentary. She's like a mother figure to her until I saw the Watch What Happens Live hip rub.
Same. Absolutely the same. I was saying, like, I think they're like Kyle's clearly in love with this person. They like have a very close bond, but I don't think they're sleeping together. And then when I saw Morgan do that, I was like, oh, these two are fucking.
I have to say that is a very intimate thing. And so I think about it a lot. I've thought about it a lot. Like, okay, I have some friends that I've been best friends with since I was little, since college, since I've been an adult. I've got sisters. I'm trying to think, is there anybody female in my life that I'm so close with that I would do that motion to on their hip? That's like a private area, No, I would not. I would never do that to my sister. I would never do it to my best friend. Never. I just wouldn't.
No,
I would do it to my husband.
I don't think that if I was standing next to a straight guy, even like one of my best straight friends, if I were to do that, it would be as a joke. And like we would have reacted like it was a joke. And yeah, that did not seem like a joke. But this is what's driving me a little crazy about Kyle is that she's like, I don't want to talk about my personal life. Don't ask me about Morgan. I'm having such a hard time in the tabloids. Meanwhile, she's bringing Morgan to Watch What Happens Live and letting Morgan caress her hip,
Yeah.
And so
and taking pictures.
Like, yeah. You can't have it both ways, Kyle. It's like, if you don't want the tabloids to talk about it, don't bring Morgan to Watch What Happens Live, or bring Morgan to Watch What Happens Live and like not stand on the 7 to repeat with her. There's many different options for you here that you're not availing yourself of. So
yeah. Oh my gosh. So we roll into this whole did Anna Marie say she's an anesthesiologist or did she say she's a nurse anesthetist? And then we see Crystal telling her like you're such a bitch. And then we hear this whole like my husband says I'm an 8.5. Like I'm not a 10 in the looks or like as an athlete or as like a mom or as a cook or as a businesswoman, but I'm a solid 8.5 all the way around. Now, I'd like to hear your thoughts on this.
Well, the vulture commenters have taken to referring to Anne Marie as 8.5, which I think
Mhm.
is hilarious.
Yes.
And I mean, I get her point and I see how that's like sweet and kind of funny, but like if my husband said that, we kind of pick on each other and insult each other for fun in a loving way. And so like,
Yes.
yeah, I get that, but I don't know that I want to share all those things with the world. Like if I would be
Yes.
on camera being like, my husband thinks I'm a B plus. That's
Yeah.
like
Yeah, I think that's a great point, that probably that's like a fun little joke between them that didn't need to be on camera because I think that he's got enough problems without, this making him look bad, you know?
yes,
Um,
ma'am.
Now how did you feel about this Anne Marie segment when he goes, "So, I heard your mother died. Tell us about your mother." And she tears up and tells about her mother, and, he goes, "That's terrible. Let's take a right turn." So, this season was this I was like, "Oh my god."
No,
That would have been
I thought it was really sweet that Andy did that because we don't know Anna Marie that well. I
right.
mean, she came in episode like 4 or 5. We were already
Mhm.
well into the season, and we never got to meet her mother. And so I thought it was really sweet to give her an opportunity to talk about her mother and how her mother's death affected her and how that might have affected her on the season. But
Mm.
I also think that when then Andy saw her being so emotional she couldn't really speak, he was kind of moving on because, he wasn't, she was having a hard time,
Yeah.
getting it out. And so I don't think it was like Andy being like, I care about your mother, but only so much. I think it was more like him trying to help her out of, being stuck in her feelings a little bit. So,
I think it would have
yeah.
been a good time to say, "Let's take a break and we'll come back." Because
Yeah,
let her have a
exactly. Like,
minute.
Anne Marie, do you
Yeah.
want to go have a cry in your trailer and like come back in 15? We'll continue
Yeah.
without you.
I
I don't know
because
that we
he
need you here.
because he moves on to, you seem very confident, but, you've gotten a lot of negative feedback on the show, like, and she's already upset, so of course she's gonna cry some more.
Right? Yeah.
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 And she says she internalizes it, and he goes, "Well, it is hard to go on a show like this and have your life and everything." And Anna Marie says Crystal was, great to her off camera, but then when they got on camera, she was totally different. And Crystal's like, "Whatever. You're a proven liar. Whatever. You're a proven liar. I don't care." And then Kyle says, "When I met Anna Marie, I also thought she was a doctor." So I can
Yeah.
understand it. And there's sort of like there's a gray area there that she doesn't clear up because if she says I'm a nurse anesthetist, people would hear nurse anesthetist. But if she just
Yeah.
says I'm an anesthetist, people are going to think she's an anesthesiologist,
Yeah, but
you
she
know?
is right, and because I shared a thing where the National Association of Anesthesiologists or something, which Dr. Nicole from Miami is an anesthesiologist, which
Yeah.
I think it might be worth pointing out. Um, kind of saying like, here's the difference between an anesthesiologist and a nurse anesthetist. And I had a friend of mine who works in health services. Um, say like, no, actually this is a big deal. And she kind of said the same thing Anna Marie said, which is that the anesthesiologist and the nurse anesthetist are really at war with each other, and so it's a big thing and blah blah blah. So like I get her point, and I see how there could be some confusion because there is a lot of confusion around like the whole thing. And so and I don't think Anne Marie ever tried to show herself as a doctor in
Mm,
the way Crystal might have thought of. But in the
mm.
same way that I don't believe Anne Marie was going around saying I'm a doctor, I also don't believe that Crystal was saying I'm a housewife, because that doesn't seem like how the
Right.
Crystal we have come to know and tolerate. No, I like Crystal, but Crystal that we've come to know would uh behave like that.
I don't think she would lead with, "I'm a housewife."
No.
I don't think she would, no. And then we go into the whole esophagus thing, the eating disorder thing, and, Sutton does say, Okay, everybody makes mistakes," and Anne-Marie, I felt sincerely apologized, and Dorit's like, "She
Yes.
does seem sincere in her apology," and Sutton's like, "I'll take it." It's so interesting, Brian. I have a friend that has this exact, narrow esophagus condition, and I told her, recently at lunch, I go, "Girl, I've been talking about your esophagus so much on my podcast because there's somebody on TV." She's like, "Oh
I
my
know.
gosh." Yes. Isn't that
Yeah,
crazy?
it's so crazy. And I did think it was a little bit weird that, like, and using Dr. Nicole again, like when the women are having health issues, you'll see her step in and talk to them about it and, ask them very informed questions, but she never says that's weird or offers a diagnosis or, she's just kind of like there for them to be a bit more of an understanding ear. And I think that when we saw Anna Marie doing that with Crystal when she was ill on the trip, it was great. But yeah, just bringing up this whole thing and then using your profession to try to talk shit about Sutton, it just seemed strange, and I didn't like it.
I didn't like it either. You guys know there's nothing more I love than a comfortable bra, for real. Today's sponsor, Honey Love, has revolutionized the bra game. We all know how I feel about this, right? I believe during the pandemic, I coined the phrase sleeping bra and introduced a lot of you to the idea of the sleeping bra. Well, Honey Love is the best of both worlds. It's next level comfort. You'll forget you're wearing, and yes, you can sleep in it. You'll immediately feel and see the difference. It's so next level, you will forget you're wearing it. Now, we all know that feeling when you get home from a long day and immediately want to take your bra off. Sometimes you might just even take it off in the car. But with Honey Love, you're never going to experience that again. I have their best-selling crossover bra. It gives you all the support of a traditional bra without using any underwires. And Honey Love's bras are designed with this back smoothing fabric. That's kind of this mesh in the front, and this back smoothing fabric in the back prevents that bra bulge, because there's nothing worse than a back fat spurting out of your bra. So I'm glad that Honey Love has fixed that for me. It'll fix it for you too. I would also highly recommend their V bra. It's got the support of a traditional bra, but it's not shelf-like. It won't give you that uniboob situation. Look, Honey Love has more than bras. They've got incredibly comfortable shapewear. I got some of these briefs that are going to help me out on my trip to LA. They've got tanks, they've got leggings, I love a legging, and these provide you with everyday support and comfortable, guys, comfortable. So treat yourself to the best bras on the market and save 20% off at honeylove.com/pinkshade. You're going to use our exclusive link, and that's how you're going to get the 20% off. You're going to go to honeylove.com/pinkshade. Again, use this link, honeylove.com pinkshade. And after you purchase, they're going to ask you, where did you hear about Honey Love? Please support our show and say Pink Shade sent you. Treat yourself to Honey Love because you deserve it. So then we see when Anne Marie said that Crystal, when she first met Crystal, she said, "Don't worry, all these women are uneducated and shallow." And then, of course, she's like, "I never said that." And then we, roll the tape of Crystal saying all these women seem savvy but uneducated. And then we see, of course, Dorit saying, "Oh, what was Crystal doing? We were building businesses and she was a child bride." So Andy says, "What is it about Anna Marie that pushed your buttons?" And Crystal's like, "It's the whole Sutton and the eating disorder thing, that, because I suffer every
Yeah.
day, every minute, and she should never indicate somebody has an eating disorder." And so Crystal asked Anne Marie, "Are you ever going to apologize for saying that I said that about Sutton? Because I would never say that about another woman." And she's like, "Yeah, I guess if that's how you heard that, then sure." But then they get into the whole uneducated thing. And Crystal goes, "Do I say we have dumbass conversations? Yes." And Kyle says, "You also say things like, those are big words for you."
Right. No, well, two things. One, I entirely believe that Crystal thinks she's better and smarter than every woman there, and she might
Yeah.
not necessarily be wrong. And I
Right.
don't think
Yeah.
it's a bad thing. But also, like, someone, I think it was Dorit, said, "Am I the only one with a college education?" And,
Oh my God.
and
Oh my
so,
God.
Dorit, And Anna Marie and Sutton and Crystal have all been to college, but the other ones haven't. And so, and when Crystal joined the cast and when she would have said that quote, I mean, she was on with Denise Richards, who didn't go to college, Lisa Rinna, who didn't go to college. You know what I mean? Like, it was really only her and Dorit. And so I see her point in that, I don't think she would ever call these women unintelligent or stupid, but I do think it is a little bit factual that not everybody on the cast is as educated as someone else. And I know Erica will be the first one to be like, I only have a high school education, but she never lets it hold her back. It's not like something she's
Right.
ashamed of. Yeah.
Right, and I think Garcelle said that too. Garcelle's like, "It just because you didn't go to college doesn't mean you're uneducated," and so I think that's a great
Yeah.
point,
Well,
and
I think it does mean you're uneducated. I don't know that it means that you're not intelligent. I think is maybe the
okay.
distinction that Crystal was trying to draw there. Because I don't think she
Yeah,
would say like Kyle's dumb, but like Kyle also didn't go to college. Kyle was also married when she was like 19, which is 5 years younger than when Crystal got married. So if we're
I
talking
I
about
was
child brides,
yes, I was wondering why nobody was gonna bring that up.
yeah,
Anna Marie says, to Crystal, she says, "Look, in seasons past, you said that Sutton is a racist by saying something so dark, and then you said it was a feeling, and so you lied about that, and then you've lied about your 14 friends, and so I just don't want to be a part of your system of lies." And I mean, Crystal is just like fuming. She's like, "You're a known liar. You're a known liar. Nobody believes what you say." Um, so then we go into the whole thing, and then this is when they say, "We shouldn't have to explain to you, Dorit, why that comment about her being a child bride is offensive, because you're saying
yeah.
all of you were building these businesses." And she was like, "I got married when I was 24. And by the way, I have $1 million business." I'm sure what she's wanted to say was, "Tell me how well Beverly Beach is doing, you know,
Thank you.
you know,
Yeah, right. What is PK's job exactly?
no one knows. No one knows. No one knows."
Yeah.
Um,
So, yeah, I think, I
It was
don't
a
know.
microaggression. It was a microaggression, and she pointed it out, and Dorit's like, well, I didn't realize that. Okay,
Well,
sorry."
I loved what Erica said on the couch was it didn't seem a microaggression. It seemed like a macroaggression. And I'm with Erica on this one. Like saying that using attack with Garcelle, like I could see how there's shades of nuance there that she didn't get. But Dorit referring to an Asian woman as a child bride, like, girl.
And then
you
to be like,
know?
"And we were building up our businesses." Okay, show me one. Show me one.
Yeah, right.
Show me
Yeah.
one.
Show me one that still exists. Thank you.
Yes, show me one.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so Andy says, new Kyle showed up this year. We got new tattoos. We got a new fitness routine. We've got no booze and no more people pleasing. And then we see all the, splash headlines of the Morgan rumors. We see her talk to her therapist about her best friend Lorene that committed suicide, which of course was rocked her
Oh,
foundation and
yeah.
made her realize, I want to live every day with people I want to live with that appreciate me and that I appreciate, and I don't want to waste a minute realizing now something like this, could happen. And um he asked Kyle how she's doing with the death of her friend, and it was interesting. She said, "My therapist says that some days I just disassociate with it completely, and
Hmm.
other days I can barely get off the couch," which I think was a very honest opinion dealing with, because he said, like, "Where are you in this stage of grief?"
Yeah.
And I thought that was, I think Kyle has really, really been through something so profound, and
Yes.
that is what has affected her forming this new relationship with Morgan, who's younger than
Yes.
one of her daughters. And that to me is still the weirdest part. And then separating from her husband and separating from Dorit, who she sees maybe is just using her for clicks. And,
Yeah.
it's super
No, and
interesting.
she's not wrong that Dorit does seem to go which way the wind blows.
Yes, because she wants to stay on the show. She's the only one
Yes.
employed in that house. Yeah.
Exactly. Because if not, yeah. No one's bringing any money. But I have said since the beginning of the season, it seems like Kyle is experiencing a little bit of a midlife crisis, and I don't mean for that to carry any negative connotations, but it's like her and her husband aren't as close. Her kids are leaving the house, even though they all still live there.
I was saying
Don't need
also
her as
I
much.
think Portia's only like 15. I was like, she's got 3 more years, guys. Quit trying to kick her out.
Yeah, but like her kids maybe don't need her as much. Her best friend dies. Her relationships with her sister are in tatters. You know what I mean? Like, and I
Yeah.
think the whole thing is just a culmination of all these events. And I do think that the grief she was going through around Lorene, she didn't play up as much as some people on the show where it's like, my mother died 3 years ago, I'm having a tough time,
Ye
like,
yes.
and so I think Kyle could have gotten a lot more juice out of that than she did. And so, yeah, I have a lot of sympathy for everything that Kyle is going through and how that's affected her. But yeah, also, but I still want some straight answers.
I think it's interesting too, when we talk about Dorit and Kyle from the reunion last year, and she said, last year, and we see the clip of when Kathy and Kyle sit next to each other, and Dorit says something, and Kyle just says, "I'm really not interested in you chiming in and getting your opinion." And then,
Yeah,
Dorit's like, "Well, okay." And then she says, Dorit's like, "Well, I have a separate relationship with Kathy." And Kyle's like, "You don't even, what the fuck are you talking about?" Like
right.
Sutton, I think, is actually friends with Kathy outside the show because they've got that socialite thing going on. I don't think that Dorit and Kathy Hilton were friends at all. I think she met her through Kyle. And I think that Kyle's like, "No, that's really not the case, and you're my friend, and I didn't appreciate how I think that you're going with the way the audience wants to go." And this is when she says,
Yes.
"Are you kidding me, Kyle? That's the most hysterical thing I've ever heard." Hmm,
That's a pretty good to read.
thank you. That's
Yeah,
because her
but
British accent is also not British, just like mine. Yeah.
yeah.
Yes.
But yeah, what annoyed me with that is like, even if she does have her own relationship with Kathy, like, you're my friend and like
Right,
have my back. You know what I
right.
mean? And
Mhm.
like, yeah, and I'm with Kyle. And I do think that yes, there is a place where somebody who has relationships with both of them could try to bring them together. I don't know that that place is a very contentious reunion, you know?
And it's
Um,
Dorit. She's not the
yeah, and
person.
it's Ster who's fucking,
It
yeah.
would be like Faye Resnick. She's actually friends with both of them separately, somebody like that,
Yeah.
you
So
know?
I think if Faye was and who's been with them for decades, and if Faye was like, maybe you're wrong, you need to be nicer to Kathy, she might listen to that. And
Yes.
and Faye has no skin in the game of the show. She's just doing it to be a friend. Yeah, that's one thing. But then Dorit at the reunion to say something like that, yeah, makes her look like clout chasey.
People are predicting that Dorit is toast, just because she doesn't bring a storyline, and then, of course, all of her problematic statements. Your thoughts on that?
I kind of agree. I thought Dorit's story last year was kind of at an end. I've never been a huge Dorit fan, but I like that she brings the fashion. She can be funny. I think she's a good foil to a lot of the housewives. But like, if she's not going to be Kyle's ally anymore, and she's not giving us any good story on her own, and she's not creating conflict or drama, then like, why is she still here?
So,
Also, can I say
she
something terrible
yes,
and selfish? I
okay.
kind of hope she gets fired from the show so that they have to file for bankruptcy and we can finally figure out what's up with the house of cards of their financial situation.
See, I thought you were gonna say
Sorry.
to keep her on the show, she and PK are gonna have to get separated, and it is gonna have to be a financial scandal like the Girardis to keep her on the show.
Yeah. No,
One of those 2 things has to happen.
yes. No, I completely agree. And so, yeah, they're making decisions now. I mean, I would probably also
Mhm.
get rid of Anna Marie. And, I hate to say it because I do like her. It might be Crystal's time to go too. I
Ah,
mean,
how dare you? I love
I
Crystal. I
think
think
she's
she had a
had
great
her best
season.
season. I think she's had her best season yet, but it's like, girl, this is your third chance. Like, you need to really bring it. But that said, I would rather see Crystal have another bad season than have like Teddy Mellencamp back. you know?
She's never coming back. She's
So,
building a podcast empire over there. So she's,
I mean,
yeah,
God bless her.
that's her whole
She's
existence
coming for
over
your
there.
gig, Mary Payne. She's coming for your gig.
Listen, if she starts talking about 90 Day Fiance, I'm screwed because she's got an empire.
Oh my
Oh my
God. Which
god.
90 Day Fiance do you think she'll start a podcast with?
Ooh, let me think. Um, what would be a good one for her? She would probably be good to talk about maybe Caribbean love or single life. I don't think she would do well with 90 Day Original or Happily Ever After or the other way. I think she would have to go with some of the singles or like the young hot people in bikinis. That would be good for her.
I also would like to see her co-host with what's her name, Darcy, the one with the
Yes,
twins, the
Darcy
crazy
Silva.
twins.
Yes. Uh-huh.
Yeah, like imagine those twins and Teddy on one podcast. That's what they would blast like outside of the Russian embassy to like drive everybody insane. It would
That's
be
so funny. I cannot imagine a world in those 3 ever meeting, but, because Darcy and Stacey only talk in live, laugh, love platitudes and manifest and power couple, they only talk in phrases like that, like, "We're gonna manifest, we're silver strong."
yeah.
She wouldn't stand for that. She would kick them right off. She would be like, "Pull it together, ladies."
I mean, they are from my home state of Connecticut, so
You claimed
I
them.
give the twins props. I mean,
Love them.
we grow our reality stars thick and strong in Connecticut. We got Darcy and Stacey, we got Luann, we got Kim Zolciak Bierman, and Dory Kemsley.
Oh
Stacked. Connecticut is
my god!
stacked.
God bless. Listen, I'm from Mississippi. I've got Oprah. I can claim Oprah. I've got Elvis.
That's way better. That's way
I,
better.
I got Britney Spears. I know that you have to run because you're a very, very busy journalist and you've got to go and do something else. But tell all the listeners where they can find your fabulous column and how to subscribe to your newsletter and all the things.
You can subscribe to my newsletter at vulture.com/housewives. It comes out the second Friday of the month because that's very easy to remember. And I'm currently recapping Vanderpump Rules, Summer House, and Survivor for the first time ever at Vulture. So those are up as soon as the episodes are finished. So
You're
yeah, go check out
dipping into
Vulture.
Survivor?
Yeah, I'm a
Yeah.
huge fan, and my editor knows that I've always liked it because we talk about it. And so they were looking for a new recapper, and he's like, "Would you want to do Survivor?" And I was like, "Sure, I'll give it a try. You know, get me out of my comfort zone a little bit." So
I
yeah,
love
so I did my
that.
first one last night. It was really fun. It's very different from doing the Housewives. So
Yeah, that's cool. That's a new audience
yeah,
too. That's a new audience for you. That's
yeah,
awesome. Oh,
yeah.
you guys look at
So
Brian.
I'm excited for that.
He's doing all the things. Oh,
What can I
you're
say?
so good.
Keeping busy.
Yes. Everybody, please remember to follow me over on Instagram at Pink Shade Pod. And remember that over on Prime, I'm covering every single episode of Love is Blind is out right now on Pink Shade Prime, as well as 90 Day, The Single Life. And pretty soon next week, Brian, the best show on television is coming back, Seeking Sister Wife.
Oh my gosh, not Seeking Sister Wife. Have you watched Couple to Thruple?
I have dipped into Couple to Thruple. Yes, I have.
Okay. I've been
Mhm.
enjoying it. I'm behind, but I've been enjoying it. Do you believe the rumor that Teresa Giudice is going to be on season 2 of House of Villains?
You mean, oh, season 2 of House of Villains? I see. I had Traitors on the mind. House of Villains? Oh, come on. No, she's too good for that.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't think it's true either, but
Put Louis on
yeah.
there. He's not good enough for that. He could go on.
Oh my God. Well, the other thing is Teresa will never think of herself as a villain.
That's a great point. Great point. Okay, Brian, don't hang up. But I will see everybody next week with 90 Day Fiance and Love is Blind. As podcasts not read by me, Mary Payne, don't necessarily reflect the views of Pink Shade. If you'd like to listen to ad-free, you're going to go on over to Supercast or Patreon, and you can find the links to Pink Shade Prime at pinkshadepodcast.com.